Hello and welcome to News Round. I am Will Ibong, and this is where we recap top stories that made headlines during the week. Niger State records another tragic petrol tanker explosion which claimed at least 45 lives in Essa community. President Bola Tinubu reshuffles service chiefs, appoints LT Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyode as the Chief of Defense Staff. And security operatives dispersed protesters with tear gas during Monday's Release Nnamdi Kanu rally in Abuja. And history rewritten as King Charles and Pope Leo prayed together in Rome, a first for the leaders of the Church of England and Catholic Church in 500 years. And that's News Round in view. Now, News Round begins with the latest tanker explosion in Niger State, where the death toll was risen to 45 with over 60 persons injured. And the latest figure is according to the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. Residents of Essa community in Kacha local government area blame the situation on the bad state of the road and urges the government to address the situation.
It's a sad day for residents of Essa community in Kacha local government area of Niger State as a petrol-laden tanker exploded in the area. The disaster led to the death of residents who had gathered there to scoop petroleum product from the falling tanker. The incident occurred on the Bida-Badagi-Agay highway, which residents say have been in a bad state for several years.
Immediately the tanker fall, almost and exploit, almost 27 people died instantly. More than 35 are seriously be injured. No day is count out that we cannot have a dead claimed by our road. And this road re-expanded and reconstructed by Shagari's administration. But after that, millions of naira have been destroyed by this busy road. Lives have been claimed, especially youth that the nation depends.
The moment the vehicle fell down, they started coming out from the village with their buckets, their jerrycans and other packing materials to pack the fuel. So, unfortunately, the tanker driver decided to set the vehicle on fire. One of the black marketers tried to kind of intervene. The man still rejected. From there, they started holding each other. Before you know, the tanker driver set the fire on the vehicle. Then many people were under the vehicle already. They started getting burned. Some were kind of running to the bush. In fact, many casualties were recovered from the bush.
According to the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, 42 persons died, including women and children. More than 60 others, including 20 males, 7 females, and 7 children, sustained varying degrees of burns. Most of them are receiving treatment at the public and private hospital in the area.
This petroleum tanker explosion was caused as a result of bad road coupled with the nature of our youth. Whenever tanker had an accident, they will just come around and start scooping the fuel. And as a result of that, the driver who is also driving the tanker feel it is not, he's not happy, and then he started having issue with the youth that is scooping the fuel here, and the whole thing turned into flame. That caused several lives lost. About 39 people lost their life. 60 were seriously injured. Some of these seriously injured were evacuated to Federal Medical Center Bida. Some were in Eastern Community who are receiving treatment.
Emergency responders, including the Nigerian Police Force, the Department of State Services, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, the Federal Safety Corps, joined the Niger State Emergency Management Agency and community volunteers to conduct rescue operation and maintain order.
We move to the latest developments in Nigeria's security space. And the bid to reinforce architecture, President Bola Tinubu has carried out a sweeping reorganization of the service chiefs. Former Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyode, becomes the new Chief of Defense Staff, succeeding General Christopher Musa. Major General Waldi Shaibu assumes the role of Chief of Army Staff. Air Vice Marshal Sunday INEC takes charge as Chief of Air Staff, and Rear Admiral Idris Abbas becomes Chief of Naval Staff. Major General Emmanuel Nduinende retains his position as Chief of Defense Intelligence. Now, a statement from the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Public Communications, Sunday Diary, conveyed the President's appreciation to the outgoing service chiefs for their commitment and leadership. President Tinubu has asked the new appointees to deepen professionalism and uphold the unity and vigilance that define Nigeria's armed forces. These appointments take immediate effect. Now, in other changes that took effect during the week, Professor Joash Amupitan has been sworn in as the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. The short ceremony, which was presided over by President Bola Tinubu, had in attendance the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, the leadership of the National Assembly, ministers, state governors, and senior presidential aides. The President charged the new INEC boss to protect the integrity of Nigeria's elections and strengthen the institutional capacity of the Commission.
A council chamber is the venue for the swearing-in ceremony for the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. In attendance is Vice President Kashim Shettima, the leadership and members of the National Assembly, state governors, the head of civil service of the Federation, and other dignitaries. The designate, Professor Joash Amupitan, waits in readiness. The ceremony commences with the arrival of the President.
Advocate of Nigeria.
With the designate standing, his extensive profile is read and he's invited to take the oath of office.
I, Professor Joash Amupitan, SAN, do solemnly swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that I will devote myself to the service and well-being of the people of Nigeria. So help me God.
Now, as INEC chairman, he steps forward for a handshake with the President. Some photographs are then taken. In a brief speech, the President notes that the country's electoral system has improved significantly, highlighting the importance of a credible system for a vibrant democracy.
We must consistently improve our electoral process, addressing the challenges of yesterday and innovating for today and tomorrow. To maintain public trust in elections, electoral integrity must be protected. All aspects of the process, from registration to campaigning, immediate access, voting and counting, should be transparent, non-violent, and be credible.
He then gives a charge.
No electoral system is flawless, but since elections are vital to a nation's future, it is essential to continually strengthen electoral institutions, ensuring they are robust, resilient, and safeguarded against artificial setbacks. I therefore charge you, Professor Amupitan, as to take on this important assignment to protect the integrity of our elections and electoral process and strengthen the institutional capacity of INEC.
Speaking afterwards, the chairman states his position clearly.
I'm going to
they defend the Constitution and the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as far as it relates to the electoral system. And like the President said, I was given a clear charge to ensure credible, fair and free election. Not just that I will ensure that that is done, I'm also going to engage all the stakeholders, because no matter how you set the barometer and the level of success, you still need all the stakeholders to be able to succeed.
All eyes will now be on the new INEC chairman as he begins his tenure with the conduct of the Anambra State governorship election, which is coming up in early November. From the presidential villa, Lanre Lasisi, Channels Television News.
Now, still staying with INEC, in the Red Chamber, the senators passed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2025 through second reading, proposing a shift that would place the burden of proof on INEC in election petition cases. The move followed the presentation of a report by the chairman of the Senate Committee on INEC, which underscored the need for more credible elections, enhanced deployment of technology, and stricter penalties to curb electoral violence.
Our colleagues continue with
Barely 1 week after lawmakers in the upper chamber stepped down the Electoral Act Amendment Bill for further consultation, details of the amendment re-emerge on the second day of plenary for debate.
I think INEC need to, after each election, see where the infringement are, who acted on that infringement are actually prosecuted.
As elected persons, we as senators shall not, directly or indirectly, secretly or openly, aid and abet unemployed or semi-employed people and arm them to disrupt election.
They further proposed that INEC bear the burden of proof during election petitions.
We must make a change in our reviews in the Electoral Act now, requiring that for electoral matters, the burden of proving that the elections have been conducted peacefully and in accordance with law must shift to INEC.
We can only do our best. Nigerians will still do mischief. You will agree with me that since PDP left, the elections have improved tremendously in this country. Those in support that this bill be now read the second time say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Separately, a bill to amend the National Health Act 2014 to increase basic health care provision fund from 1% to 2% of the Consolidated Revenue Fund is also brought forward.
The National Dialogue on Health Financing endorsed this increase as critical to advancing universal health coverage.
Many Nigerians, like mentioned earlier, have resorted to local hubs because they can no longer afford basic health facilities. So I believe that this bill is timely, more so as donor agencies are not forthcoming.
Those in support that this bill be now read the second time say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has written to the Senate seeking the confirmation of Dr. Bernard Mohammed Doro as a Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The president's request was contained in a letter read to senators during plenary.
In the meantime, the Senate Constitution Review Committee, chaired by the Deputy Senate President Barau Jibrin, is expected to commence its retreat over the weekend following the initial zonal hearings held in July this year to address proposals on issues such as electoral reforms, security and gender inclusion, among other issues. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Now, when News Round returns, police dispersed Free Nnamdi Kanu protesters in Abuja. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. News Round moves to Abuja, where a combined team of security personnel comprising the police, the army and the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps in Abuja dispersed protesters calling for the release of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. The protest, which was led by human rights activist and politician Omoyele Sowore, barely commenced at the Maitama area of Abuja when police started firing tear gas to disperse the protesters. They're calling for the unconditional release of Mr. Kanu, who has been in detention since 2021 following his arrest and extradition from Kenya.
All major roads to the Abuja city center, Federal Secretariat, and the three armed zones leading to the presidential villa in Abuja are cordoned off. It's day one of the Free Nnamdi Kanu protest, earlier scheduled to kick off from the Unity Fountain. However, instead of the protesters, the Unity Fountain is under lock and key, with security operatives strategically stationed. Armed security operatives on regular patrol. Just about 500 meters from the Unity Fountain, the protesters, led by Omoyele Sowore, were dispersed with tear gas as soon as they began the protest. Undeterred, the protesters took the march to the Utako Jabi area of Abuja, where they dragged the protest calling for the unconditional release of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra.
We started as early as 7 a.m., but this is customary with our security forces. They attacked us unprovoked, and we decided that we will relocate to other parts of the city. And we are in Utako, and we will go around this city today until the city is shut down. Or the Free Nnamdi Kanu. Free Nnamdi Kanu now. That is not a tribal issue. It is not a religious issue. It is not a sentimental issue. It's a social justice issue for us. Globally.
Another combined team of security operatives again dispersed the protesters with tear gas.
They go release our brother.
The protests and security barricades caused severe traffic gridlocks on most roads leading up to the Abuja city center. Nnamdi Kanu's arrest and detention dates back to October 2015, when he was first arrested by the Department of State Service and charged with terrorism and treason for his alleged role in the activities of the indigenous people of Biafra and Radio Biafra. He was granted bail in 2017 on health ground. He, however, jumped bail in the same year and fled the country after the Nigerian army invaded his house in Umuahia, Abia State in September 2017. He was later arrested in Kenya on June 2021 and subsequently extradited to Nigeria in the same year to face his trial. Since his second arrest in 2021, bail applications by his legal team have severally been rejected. The latest is the Justice Omotosho ruling on October 23, 2025, where Nnamdi Kanu was declared fit to face his trial and was scheduled to commence his defense.
Now, the 25th edition of the INEC PR Roundtable, held earlier in the week, brought together industry leaders, policymakers, and communication experts to discuss the role of ethics in governance. Held under the theme, The Ethics of Governance, Shaping Reputation Through Public Relations, the forum focused on the power of integrity, accountability, and transparency in rebuilding public trust and driving national credibility.
It's the 25th edition of the INEC PR Roundtable, one of Africa's foremost platforms for strategic communication. And this year, the spotlight is exactly where it should be, on ethics in governance and how public relations can shape reputation and rebuild trust. Convener of the Roundtable, Dr. Nkechi Ali Balogun, one of Nigeria's most respected voices in public relations and communications, sets the tone.
Over the years, the Public Relations Roundtable has evolved into a respected forum for dialogue, learning, and advocacy. We have remained true to our founding vision to promote professionalism, uphold ethics, and use communication as a tool for development and nation building.
In her opening remark, Godfrey Ogbeche, Group Executive Director of Rain Oil Limited, sums it up.
Truth is the real capital of leadership. Ethics give governance its soul, and public relations, when practiced truthfully, gives that soul a voice.
Today's highlight is a keynote address by Dr. John Momoh, Chairman and CEO of Channels Media Group. With characteristic clarity, he speaks on the ethics of governance, shaping reputation through public relations. And his message is simple.
Trust is the currency of leadership. Trust between leaders and citizens, trust between government and the governed, and trust between Nigeria and Nigerians. But let's now talk about PR, our craft, your craft. Some people think it is all about packaging. They say, call the PR people, they'll polish it for you. But PR isn't perfume. It's principle, it's a principle, and it's the conscience of communication. Real PR isn't what you say after a crisis. It's what you practice before one begins. It's about listening before talking, engaging before announcing, and standing for truth before convenience.
Dr. Momoh's words opened the floor for two engaging panel discussions, one on corporate reputation and the other on reputation in governance, both diving deep into how transparency, accountability, and strong communication drive public trust.
When people trust you as an organization, when people trust what you do, they see the accountability, they see the transparency all throughout the years. I think you will get a soft landing.
You cannot build a strong brand or a strong reputation on a faulty premise. Again, building on what the keynote had said, reputation is what people think about you, but character is what you really are. If you don't address the character issues or ethical issues, on the long run, it will catch up.
Being truthful and being honest and avoiding all of the greenwashing and aligning it with your purpose. And I think most importantly is understanding how to measure the outcomes, not just the outputs that you churn out.
If you're not who you are, whatever you are, you're just going to get worse or get better in any position that you have. So just put yourself into your job, and like you said, trust, competence, character. Today we have a diaspora commission that has helped Nigeria's reputation. And if you look at the analysis today, our narratives are changing. And thanks to our brothers and sisters abroad.
If you don't trust your government, there is nothing that government will do. Even if it does well, you will pretend not to see it. So it is very important that we get a government that we can trust. As long as government has question marks, particularly in terms of ethics, it's going to be difficult to trust that government.
But beyond the speeches and applause, the 25th NECHI PR Roundtable is all about creating a space for PR professionals to exchange ideas, learn, and collaboratively address challenges in strategic communication. Because in the end, governance with integrity isn't just good PR. It's the foundation of a lasting reputation.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, history has been made at the Vatican as King Charles and Pope Leo mark a new era in church relations. King Charles has become the first head of the Church of England to pray publicly with a pope since the Reformation in the 16th century. During his landmark visit in the Vatican, the monarch met Pope Leo XIV, where he was granted the title of Royal Confrater of the Basilica of St. Paul outside the walls. In return, the Pope was named Papal Confrater of St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle. King Charles and Queen Camilla began their two-day visit with an ecumenical service at the Sistine Chapel, a historic gesture of reconciliation between the Catholic Church and the Church of England. The visit marks a new chapter in Vatican monarchy relations and underscores the King's commitment to fostering unity across faiths and cultures. And that wraps up News Round. I am Will Ibong. Thanks for watching.